Yo, welcome to the West Box Score podcast. This is Donald, aka D-Bot, here, live in studio at the Skybox with my cousin, Big Money Matt.
What's good? What's good, everybody? What's up, West Box Score?
Hey. We're here because kind of like doing a bit of an obit for the Los Angeles Lakers season, which came to an end on Monday. Was it Monday that they played?
Yes.
Yes, it was Monday.
Yeah.
Yes, we're recording this.
Unfortunately,
recording this on a Wednesday, so 2 days later we had to like grieve a little bit, and then we were like, okay,
definitely.
So
we should be playing today.
we should be playing today.
Yeah,
this should be game
at
6.
least.
But we're here because my cousin and I were here at the Skybox. We were watching Lakers fall to the Nuggets 4-1 series. It was game 5 in Denver, and it was very unfortunate, I believe, because I felt like they put up a pretty good fight, and a lot of things didn't go their way. But I feel like it was a valiant effort by the Lakers in order to keep the season alive. Of course, they had their backs against the wall going into this game. But I wanted to get your thoughts on what you thought of Game 5. Did you feel like they could have pulled something off and continued the series, or do you think like this was it before it even started?
I thought they shouldn't have been in this position to begin with, right? I think there was a stat going around. I know they were showing it while we were watching the game, but they said something to the extent of the Lakers were leading 173 minutes or ish around then versus not leading. And pretty much every other team that had that stat was up 3-1 or 2-1 at the time. And that was including the Celtics and some of the other teams in the playoffs, basically, saying that the Lakers were pretty much dominant for the series, except for when it counted, right? Yeah. And I think that goes to speak to the bench and the Nuggets bench just being so well balanced for the most part.
Yeah.
You're pretty much, your third, fourth, and fifth guys are going to put up double digits no matter what. And, with the Lakers, we had some, AR did his thing, but still relatively quiet. It wasn't the same AR as last year. We didn't have Rui hitting the 50% from 3-pointers, which is what we really needed this year.
Yeah.
And then D'Lo, that's a whole podcast in itself with him. But it was just inconsistency from the rest of the team, right? LeBron and AD can only do so much, and it showed. And it basically, if either of them got hurt and AD, basically had to sit out 5 to 6 crucial minutes in that third quarter, that basically was the ball game there, right? Because we had to press on them. We had to get a little bit of a buffer because we only win when we have a little bit of a buffer. So if we're going to be tied, we're going to lose, right? If we're down, we're going to lose. So we have to have a buffer, and we didn't. So, that was game. Basically, if you look back on it, once AD got hurt and had to leave the game for a little bit, that was pretty much game right there.
Yeah. I think I felt the same way too. When I saw AD got hurt and I saw that he was down and they had to take a timeout, I was like, man, if he can't get going, I don't think we have a shot. I think this might be it here, because he's so crucial to the team. He's like the centerpiece, for better, for worse. And to your point right now that you brought up, Austin Reeves and a couple of the bench players, I don't want to say bench players, but they're basically like the secondary unit. Secondary unit. One thing I noticed is that like in comparison to this Game 5 and just this series in general, the Nuggets series, it just felt like even though the Lakers it was the same story every game. They led at halftime, right? They led at halftime, and then they blew it in the second half. Now, there's an argument to be made that Game 2 could have been theirs, and it would have been 2-2 in the series. This probably would have been ended right now. We probably would have been watching Game 6.
Right.
But unfortunately, that wasn't the case. But at the same time, it also meant that the Lakers had firepower because the Nuggets did not look like the defending champs. You know
Nope.
what I mean? They did
Yep.
not look like the defending champion Nuggets that we saw last season where they swept us. This felt like they were so beatable. And I think to your point, I think the difference between both teams was the bench.
Yeah.
Our bench wasn't consistent. We don't have everything you pointed out was accurate in terms of like AR not coming through, Hachimura not looking the same, like D'Angelo just being so streaky. It's like I mean, and
Yeah.
D'Angelo's like a starter, but also like it's just kind of like one of those things where it's like you don't have solid guards. You know what I mean? You
Yeah.
don't you got it's basically LeBron and AD as like the only two you can count on, but then they don't have that support that they needed. Whereas the Nuggets, Jokic and Murray are good to go.
Yeah.
And I feel like in this series, Michael Porter Jr. was like that third guy
Yeah.
that was like, oh damn, that's the guy that's gonna put them over the hump.
Yep.
And he did that and he came through. And I think like we didn't have that. The Lakers did not have that. And then Aaron Gordon was like a solid fourth guy who
Yeah.
at pretty much, I think for the most part came through when he needed to. The rebounding, the
Yeah.
putbacks, all that stuff. Like it just
The putbacks were killer.
yeah.
They were
Yeah.
killer because not a lot of people are going to want to point this out, but that was LeBron's guy. So
Yeah.
that was the guy that LeBron was sagging off because he's
Yeah.
not a great 3-point shooter.
Yeah.
So LeBron kind of just left him at the 3-point line, and they knew that. So
Mhm.
they're like, okay, you're not good at three. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna go to the 3-point line, wait till LeBron's not paying attention, and then you're gonna cut to the rim,
Yeah.
cut to the rim, because they're not gonna be paying attention, and you're gonna just dunk, 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 dunk.
Yeah.
And they just gave it to him all series.
Yeah.
And to me, it's like those are adjustments that you have to make.
Yeah.
That as smart as LeBron is, your coach has to come in and be like, hey guys, this is where we're getting killed. We need to be paying attention to this. So my question now, especially with all the rumors flying around, is was that being caught by the Lakers coaching staff? And
Mhm.
if so, was that being communicated to LeBron and the rest of the team? And if it wasn't, why?
Mhm.
And maybe at this point, it was communicated to the team, but the team just wasn't hearing Darvin anymore. And that's
Mhm.
the rumors are flying around at this point that Darvin ain't in anymore. So
Yeah.
yeah, so it's at a certain point, this series was the Lakers losing this series. This was not the Denver Nuggets winning this series. It was
Yeah.
just the Lakers lost it.
Yeah, yeah, and I think that was a huge talking point after they were down 3-0, right? Was AD saying, "There's times we don't know what we're doing on the floor. Like there's no game plan. Like
Right.
kind of like alluding to the whole like the miscommunication. Like
Yeah.
we're not being basically saying we're not being coached properly here.
Right.
Like we're on the floor doing what we have to do, but we're not being directed properly here. So, it's kind of interesting because like, it felt like it made sense given that like you knew that the other team was doing something and then their coaching is not catching it enough to like create a counter attack
Exactly.
and it showed, it really did. And I know that like everybody was dunking on D'Angelo Russell after game 3. I mean after game 3 when he had 0 points, right?
Yeah.
And he was pissed about being benched and he didn't want to join the huddle. But then he came through in game 4. And
Right.
I think like it helped that he actually showed up. But I think like it's just one of those things where it's just like it just felt like in that moment the fractures were already showing within the team.
Yeah.
That it just really felt like, okay, even though you've been better than Denver in the first half and didn't finish, like I don't know, like it just feels kind of weird to think that like they'd be able to move on to the next round and still have an amazing performance. Like it just felt like there was something happening within the roster that just felt very like demotivating and just
Yeah.
kind of like they're just kind of pushing through because
Yeah.
like this is their job is to play basketball. But there's nothing that showed me that this team was really trying to rally outside of the one game that they won to just stay alive in the series.
I think that game was won on sheer pride on the from the player
Mhm.
standpoint of we're not going to get swept again,
Yeah.
and they might have won it, in spite of Darvin at this
Yeah.
point, It
Yeah.
was just like, hey man, let's just let's figure this out because we can actually beat this team. And I was actually there was an interview with I think it was Aaron Gordon where they told him the stat.
Mm-hmm.
Um, of the 173 minutes, and he was shocked. He was like, "Whoa, we did it," And then they told him that stat, and after they lost, they were like, "Okay,
Yeah.
like we need to get back. We need to lock in, stay focused." And that's what it looked like. It looked like this last game, Denver came in focused. They're like, "Okay, this is where the Lakers make their runs. This is where the Lakers, make some mistakes. We have to, we have to execute, and the Lakers were good enough that they were still executing and they were still in the game really late into the game. But it just came down to the execution on the Lakers and on the end just not coming through. And maybe it was just motivation at that point. Maybe they were just like, you know what, we're gonna have to do this again and then again. Basically, win 4 of these games in a row. Like, do we even have it in us at that
Mm-hmm.
point? And it
Mm-hmm.
just felt like they didn't.
No, yeah, I think that was a huge thing. I think overall, like there was something with the way they constructed this roster that just wasn't really working out throughout the season. And I think there
Yeah.
were moments where when they win, it felt like okay, there's something here, and then when they didn't win, it's like who signed these guys? And I just felt like it was like that. It was like very up and down
Yeah.
in the way it felt. And I don't know. I think like this is kind of like I think in a way, as much as I'm bummed out that they're gone, in a way it's like I also didn't expect them to go like far either. Like in terms of like Western Conference, maybe like a second round at most. But I just felt the way the roster constructed and just the way Ham coaches, it just felt like there was something here. Like there was the synergy wasn't there, and
Yeah,
I don't
not that
know.
the same way that it was last year,
Yeah,
and
like which is crazy because it felt like an improvement to me
right,
from last year. But it just still
right,
didn't feel like enough because I don't know if it's because the 2020s still only like was only 4 years away. Like
yeah,
you kind of were feeling like maybe if we got that back somehow, that vibe back, but it just felt like it was a fraction of that. And last year was none of that. And it just kind of feels weird to feel like you're kind of going uphill, but now it feels like you're back downhill. And I don't know, man. And I just wanted to ask you too, is like obviously this was a series that they lost that ultimately ended the season, but what were your thoughts just in the season overall? I know I just gave you my thoughts right now real quick, but like what were your thoughts overall when you saw the games in and out, day in, day out, kind of like on TNT, on Spectrum and all that?
I was surprised at how unorganized it felt all year. It just felt like, the whole point of this roster was we're going to make some moves around the edges. We're going to just improve around the edges. And we have a continuation from the team that made the Western Conference run last year. So we have D'Lo, we have AR, we
Mhm.
have LeBron, we have Rui, we have AD, we have Vando, we have all these guys that are ready to go. We add we add in Gabe Vincent, which
Mhm.
had their run with Miami last year,
Yeah.
and then injuries. We were the second most injured team in the
Mhm.
league this year.
Yeah.
So at a certain point in time, like you just kind of have to be like, just throw your hands up and be like, it is what it is. Like
Yeah.
we just happened to run into the injury train this year, and it is what it is. But for the most part, we had at least our 4 guys: AD,
Mhm.
LeBron,
Yeah.
AR, and D'Lo for most of the season,
Yeah.
and they still had multiple rotating starters.
Yeah.
They didn't keep them going. So I'm like, what was the whole point of, hey, we're gonna build around this group of guys, use that continuation, and then you're benching Austin, you're benching D'Lo,
Mhm.
and it's like these are our guys. Like, if we're gonna win, it's gonna be because they're building chemistry back up, and they're,
Mhm.
at the very beginning of the season, especially right after we won the in-season tournament, we go we go. I think we hit a bump in the road that was 2-10, which you just can't do that, especially in the Western Conference. And it was just rotating starters, rotating starters, and you just what's going to happen at that point in time is you're going to piss off the players, right?
Mhm.
The players are going to be like, wait a second, I was here to, you brought me here to do this, and now you're benching me. And it just felt like at that point in time, after that, it felt like, Darvin just kind of lost the team, and everyone was kind of like, all right, well, I'm just going to do this for myself, and then
Yeah.
LeBron tried to step in and try to, like, carry them for the rest of the way. And from then it just felt like, what happened? Like,
Yeah.
I just don't
Yeah.
understand. what happened? The whole point was that we have the same roster, an improved version of last year's roster. Denver did not improve. In fact, they lost some key players, and we're still basically got a gentleman's sweep.
Hmm.
So that's what I meant by the Lakers lost this series. The Lakers very much could have at least still been in this series right now, evened
Hmm.
up, but you know. I don't know. It's very strange how this series ended up. This whole season ended up turning out.
Yeah, yeah, and I think what makes it tough is the fact that we do have LeBron James,
Right.
and there's a certain expectation that you have when you have a LeBron James on your team. Like, you're not supposed to be, especially for the accolades he's had. I mean, he went 40,000 career points and everything. Like, it just felt like this is not the team. You're still trying to figure out whether they can go to a championship or not. And
Yeah.
it's one thing, for the team to actually accomplish it. It's another thing when like the managers and the owners are all like, "Well, of course that's our job. Like we're always trying to go to the championship." But it's like, no, but clearly we can see whether this roster was really meant for that or not. Like,
Yeah.
especially when the rest of the league, there's certain teams that just have momentum. You know what I mean? And I don't know, man. I don't know if you felt this. I know a lot of people are talking about this online. Was like this whole end of the era feel,
Yeah.
because um, Lakers lost like this because the Suns were swept and KD's on the Suns, even though I feel like that whole thing is mainly because KD's on the Suns than it is
Yeah.
about the Suns just getting swept. And then obviously Golden State falling off. And it's just interesting to see that because it does feel like it's a turning point in the league now. And I think that's very telling. And if anything, I kind of feel like I don't know what the Lakers do moving forward, and I feel like that's kind of like the next thing I wanted to touch on is just what do we see for this team in the future, given that we got players like Luka Doncic, Jason Tatum, Anthony Edwards. Like you got these younger guys that are like under 30
Yeah.
being the next guys up, and the Lakers have nobody within that range or in that whole group in that
Yeah.
class that
Yeah.
is at that level.
I think the rumblings right now are around a few of the free agents that are going to be out this summer. So Trey Young, I'm hearing a lot of rumblings about trying to bring him in. I don't know if I'm going to be the biggest fan of that because I feel like he's just like a super D'Lo, where and what I mean by that is that Trey Young is what D'Lo should be every night. So
Offensively.
Offensively, he's just always consistent, great playmaker. He's not streaky. You're just gonna get production out of Trey Young, but he plays zero defense,
Yeah.
right? So, you know, maybe with a healthy Vando, we can maybe sort of do that. But if we're gonna have him and we're gonna have AR as our two,
Hmm.
AR's defense is questionable. So
Yeah.
does he take a step up next year?
Hmm.
Hopefully, but
Yeah.
is it enough of a step up to kind of compensate for what Trey Young would bring? I don't know.
Yeah.
And that's where, you know, that's the big thing. And what will we have to give up to get him? So we're gonna have to give up 3 first rounds.
Hmm.
We may have to give up, Austin. Who knows?
Yeah.
Um, it's interesting.
Yeah, that's what I realized. I feel like assets wise, I don't feel like we have strong enough assets to pull off like a guy who's a star in a different team. Um,
Yeah.
but
Supposedly Donovan Mitchell's another one that I'm hearing.
yeah, I would like Donovan Mitchell on the Lakers,
Yeah.
man. I feel like I know that he got sent to the Cavs because like as a way to just get out of Utah, like that was his thing, just get out of Utah. But man, like he's so good, he deserves to be on a team that like is actually gonna give him his
Actually trying
due,
to win. Yeah.
and they're actually trying to win. And I think like that's the Lakers or even like Milwaukee or whoever. Like that's in the teams that are in the conversation for the finals. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
he's too good to just be like a guy that's just like on a mid team and the best player on a mid team type of thing. But yeah, I kind of feel the same way too. I feel coaching feels like it might have to be something else.
Yeah.
I don't know what your thoughts on the coaching.
I mean, if there's already some reports out that the Lakers are more than likely going to be going a different route.
Yeah.
And then Darvin Ham put out I don't know if it was a interview or whatnot, but basically he would wasn't taking any responsibility for what happened this year, and basically was kind of clapping back at people saying that he wasn't putting on the right rotations,
Hmm.
and wasn't using he wasn't coaching effectively,
Yeah.
and basically blamed the players back, saying, well, consistency and rotation, it has to do with the health of my team, and if my team isn't healthy, how can I have consistency and rotation?
Hmm.
And he goes, and then even then, if um if I have one of my guys who's shit in the bed for
Yeah.
10 games straight, I'm
Yeah.
supposed to just keep him on, and I'm just like, so that's an actual quote. He
Yeah.
literally, he may be talking about AR, he may be talking about D'Lo. I don't know who he was talking about,
Yeah.
but he's definitely talking about one of them and saying,
Yeah.
why am I going to keep them in the starting lineup if they're not performing?
Yeah.
And I know AR had a stint in the beginning of the year where he wasn't looking great, and then D'Lo had another stint in the middle of December where he wasn't looking great,
Hmm.
and so it's like I don't know who he's talking about. Obviously it's not LeBron or AD,
Yeah.
but at that point, it's like you're really going to talk about your players like that. If you were
Yeah.
coming back,
Yeah.
like you're basically either know that that player is not coming back, or you're not coming back when you say something like that. It just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
At a certain point, you're the coach, so like everything has to you have to be able to take that sort of responsibility as the leader of the team to be like, something didn't work out, and we'll take a look at rotations, and maybe there was some issues with that, and it's like, obviously he's not going to say that because he's really not trying to lose his job, but
Hmm.
um I don't know. I think the writing's on the wall at this point. I don't think
Yeah.
Darvin's coming back, and
Yeah.
in terms of the championship window for the team, AD played pretty much the most games he's played in like 4 or 5 years.
Hmm.
LeBron somehow miraculously didn't get hurt, and played most of the games too, so you know, I think maybe if we actually do go all in for like another, probably have another 2 years
Yeah.
if we can really retool, But if we're just gonna be doing what we did this year, where we just add a couple pieces that, and like, oh well, we'll be good enough, it ain't gonna happen for us,
Yeah.
and I don't think LeBron would stand for that either. So
Yeah. Well, the Lakers also like fought to just get in the play-in.
yeah, exactly.
It
It's
felt
like,
weird,
yeah,
right?
it felt weird.
It's like, why would you like? That's not how you construct a team. That's the one thing about the play-in is that it's kind of exposed the teams that are just trying to claw in and
Yep.
how much how worse that looks
Yep.
versus just not coming into the playoffs at all, knowing that like, okay, like cool, like this, our team looked like this anyway. So like you kind of like it just feels like more, I don't know, it's a little bit of more of a torture, I guess.
Yeah.
At
And
least,
during the play-ins, we actually made the playoffs worse because during the play-in games, we lost Zion and we lost Jimmy Butler.
yeah,
So imagine what those series would be looking like right now
yeah,
if we didn't have the play-in games. So the last couple of years have kind of worked out for us, for the Laker fans, because we've been using it to get in. So we
yeah,
basically use it like, okay, we'll coast a little bit through the season because we know once it's crunch time, we'll do that. But you know,
hmm,
you could only hit the gas for so long and not exhaust your team, and especially with LeBron being our number one guy, and you know, being 39, I think, going, or is he already 40? I don't even know
no, he's
anymore.
gonna be 40 next
Yeah,
season if
he's
he
gonna be 40.
stays.
So, it's like, that's a lot of mileage on those feet. He's not gonna be able to keep up. And I think, it goes to show you that we're losing in the fourth quarter battle because at a certain point, our main guy just
Hmm.
doesn't have another gear to go to because
Hmm.
of his age, and it's like not trying to point,
Yeah,
trying to make excuses, but at a certain point in time, he can't do that anymore, and he needs his team to help step up and to do that for him, and there just
yeah,
wasn't no one.
yeah. Can I tell you someone who agrees with you?
Uh,
Uh, Irvin Magic Johnson.
really?
Yeah, I'm gonna read you this tweet that he wrote.
Okay.
He said, "Laker Nation, we have a problem. All the good teams in the West are young and talented. The Nuggets, the Timberwolves, the Thunder, and the Mavs. And the biggest elephant in the room is the Spurs, who, with Victor Wembanyama, will definitely be a playoff team next season. For the Lakers to compete with all these teams, the roster must improve."
Yeah. Yeah, it can't be this, oh, we'll just get a couple pieces here and there. It's like, no, like at a certain point in time, it might have to be by Austin, by D'Lo, by Rui, and we have to come up with some answers.
Mm-hmm.
And we have to be able to spend some money,
Mm-hmm.
Genie, and not just try to worry about salary caps, especially for the next couple years, because it's I really do feel like we have 2 years left in this window.
Yeah.
Um, and after that, it's going to be a long dry spell for us. So
Yeah.
um, I don't know.
The LeBron AD era.
The LeBron AD era is going to come to
Yeah.
an end. We might still have AD, but I think AD has come to show us that he's a 1B, not a 1A. He's a really really great player.
Mm-hmm.
The thing about AD is that he needs someone with a high motor next to him, um, because AD will be, for no matter what people say, AD is super freaking consistent. He's going to get you rebounds. He's going to get you points.
Mm-hmm.
It's but you need a leader that's going to be high rev, someone that's going to say, "Hey, give me the ball. It's time to go." And
Mm-hmm.
AD's just not that guy. AD will fit into your system, play well in your system if he's well coached, and even
Mm-hmm.
make some plays when the coaching is not so great. But um, we need to find that person, right?
Yeah.
Because I don't know if it's LeBron
Yeah.
anymore. Kyrie would be amazing, but that's never going to happen.
Yeah.
KD, maybe you need to ask out of maybe you need to ask out of Phoenix, maybe you can make it happen. Phoenix doesn't have any assets to do anything next year, so maybe it might be time to start trading people.
Yeah. They gave up
Um
a lot
yeah, they,
for that
they, they
team.
they literally don't have anything. There's no way they can improve that roster next year. So
Yeah. Next for the next 5 years.
yeah, so we're gonna have 3 first round picks this summer, um, and our team right now. So I don't know. I really don't know who we're gonna get, because the guys that are out there during the summer, like I said, are Trey Young, Donovan Mitchell, Kawhi. Which is
Mm-hmm.
probably gonna get re-signed.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Bomber's
do
gonna.
and do we want that
No. No.
headache?
Bomber is gonna make sure that Intuit grand
Yeah,
opening has the team that has the names
yeah,
that draws the people.
exactly.
So that's yeah. It's not even like a, oh, would he rather wear purple and gold? It's like no, no. Bomber's gonna intervene and do whatever he needs to make sure Kawhi,
Yeah. Yeah,
stays.
the West is gonna get better next year, and I don't know. That's scary, because I honestly don't know what we're gonna do.
Yeah, no, I'm with you there. I don't know, but the funny part is that there's draft capital, but they gotta move smart about that. What are your thoughts on just Palenka and Genie? I know you had mentioned Genie earlier, about spending money, but just what are your thoughts on just what have they done so far? Because I don't know if that is also an issue that they need
You
to
know,
figure out.
it's tough because Kobe had that relationship with Ron Palinka, and he's been able to make some clever moves. I mean, I believe last year they were talking about he was like GM of the year, because of all
Yeah.
the moves that he made to try to give the team a shot. And this year, people were hurt, so
Mm-hmm.
his plan, it would have still been an amazing plan with the continuity of last year, but people got hurt. So
Yeah.
is it really his fault? And then some of the, speaking of Mr. Magic Johnson, when he was with the team, he made some boneheaded,
Mm-hmm.
there was just, he definitely was not the person to be leading the team. So I'm glad Magic's gone.
Yeah.
Um,
Lonzo Ball era.
yeah, it was just rough. That era set us back 5 years. And then
Now he's tweeting that the
y-
problem is that the team's not young.
yeah, and then yeah, exactly. Of course, look at Lonzo. He hasn't played in like 3 years. So
Yeah.
it's like, man. But it's scary because I honestly don't know what's gonna happen.
Yeah.
But Jeannie does have to be like, okay, she can't be she can't be pulling a Jerry Jones. She actually has to go all in. You can't just say it. You actually have to do it. Jerry Jones over here saying they're going all in, and look at what we did. But anyways, I'm
Got
not
Zeke
gonna
back.
let's not get sidetracked here.
You
You
didn't
know,
burn your Zeke jersey, I
I
hope.
didn't know my Zeke jersey's gone. Oh God. Anyways,
uh
sorry.
Maybe Amari
I got
Cooper will
triggered.
come back
I got
too.
triggered. So yeah, I don't know. The thing about
Yeah.
it's hard because again of their relationships with people that like Kobe and the rest of the championship era teams. But I don't know,
Yeah. Can I tell you who I would want to be a Laker? That I feel if Palenka can pull this off, this would be a great like rabbit out of the hat type
yeah.
of trick. Shea Gilchrist Alexander.
Oh my God. I mean, could that even happen?
I think if SGA, I would love to see him in purple and gold.
So he would have to ask out, right? I mean,
I don't know. That's the thing.
yeah,
It's like his value went too high now.
yeah,
There was
no,
a moment where there was a window where you could have like right when he got traded from the Clippers, and then within that like 2 to 3 year stretch that he had in
yeah.
the beginning, felt like the window to get him. And now I just feel like it's too high
Yeah,
because
well, yeah,
he's the guy there.
Oklahoma's #1 in the league, right?
Yeah, and it's because of him. And
Well, not. I mean, the Celtics are among the league, ugh. But in the West, it's that would be
yeah,
amazing. I don't know if I had a dream player that could be on the Lakers. I'd probably say it'd be Luca.
Luca.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think I think Luca.
Luca's tough.
Yeah, Luca is.
He's a workhorse,
Yeah,
man.
it's like damn, and it's
Yeah,
like if you can just get the right team around him, like a
yeah,
Luca AD combo. Whoo,
yeah.
man.
I saw that last game. I know the Clippers are playing right now as we're taping with the Mavs. I saw the last game. I know the Clippers won, but it felt like Luca wanted to take over for the Mavs and win it for them, but it wasn't enough.
Yeah,
Which, was obviously to the detriment of like the ISO thing being not the best time to do it when it's like you really need your team to step up to take the
yeah,
Clippers out because the Clippers do have four solid guys that
yeah,
they can come alive when they do come when they come alive it's scary, right?
yeah,
But at the same time too it's like crazy to see that Luka just has that will in him, you know what I mean? And I think that's tough to see. I think him and Edwards, those are the guys that it's very rare to see. Those guys are like, man, they want to be the guy. They want to
yeah,
be the guy that wants this team to advance and all that. And sometimes it's tough. But yeah, Luca would be super dope.
yeah, and yeah, Edwards would probably be my next like favorite player to watch right now.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah,
and that would also be amazing.
yeah.
To get
So
over here.
okay, so that leads me to who would you want to see in the finals?
I would say from the West. Let's see, who do we got? We got Minnesota, we got Denver, we have
Depending on whoever wins
the
between
Dallas.
Dallas or Clippers.
Yeah.
Um,
Hmm. I think I'd say I want Minnesota to get there because Edwards just like he's just an animal, so it would be dope to see him play and get a chip. Like honestly, he does remind me of MJ. I know people are gonna say that's slanderous, but s- homie's a savage, man. Like
he is.
he's a freaking savage, and he just has like a certain intensity that you just don't see in the league
No,
anymore. And
no.
that's like you just miss that. Like
Yeah,
especially if you caught a little bit of that with like the MJ era and then the Kobe era. Like
yeah.
everybody's Tim Duncans nowadays. And hey, I'm
No,
not.
I would say they're more like LeBron.
Yeah, they're more
This
LeBron.
was the LeBron effect. This is the
Yeah,
LeBron. I'm cool with Melo and I'm cool with Wade.
yeah,
And it became a thing where there's a click even amongst the
yeah,
superstars playing opposing teams and stuff. And I felt like that was so weird to me because
yeah,
now that I see Edward doing this, it's
yeah.
like, yeah, that's the NBA I
Exactly,
remember.
exactly.
That's
Well,
my NBA on NBC right there.
exactly. And think about this, right? Kobe went into the Olympics, right, against Pau Gasol. First play, runs him over,
Yeah,
literally, and
yeah,
everybody's like, "Yo, what the heck happened?" Like that's his best friend,
yeah,
right? That's his best friend, and just to set a point,
yeah,
I'm gonna truck this fool right now,
yeah,
just to let you know I'm that much of a competitor and I am that dominant over you that I need to physically send that message to the rest of the team that I don't care that that's the homie. We
yeah.
are taking him down, and that just doesn't exist anymore.
No, it doesn't.
And it's just with Ant, it's like okay, all
Yeah,
right, let's go. So I think I would love to see that, and I think we need that kind of energy for a team to beat Boston because Boston is a very methodical, very um, they have a lot of parts. They're basically to me right now like Denver on steroids. They have
yeah,
they don't they have Tatum, they have Brown, but it's like they still haven't proven that they're on a certain level,
yeah,
right? So it's just a lot of really good players. There's like 5, 6. Their rotation basically into their bench is really, really good. So we need a team that is just revs on a higher level that can just kind of compete with them. And I think that's why Miami took them out last year. Is because
Yeah.
they just rev at a higher level at their peak level, and if they can just get there, at the right points and times, they can beat them. And
Well,
so
there's an update right now. Boston won.
damn
They
it,
advanced to the next round.
God damn
Jalen
it.
Brown and Derek White showed up, 25 points each. Tatum only had 16. So
See what Kobe would never have 16 points. Like,
yeah,
what is going on?
that's the only thing I could see Boston falling apart if they went to the finals again. Is that like Tatum just doesn't do what he has to do,
Yeah,
which is what's expected of him. You know what I mean?
yeah. It's like, dude, you're Tatum.
You're Tatum. You need to at least minimum 30
Yes,
a game.
minimum.
So, but there's just times where he doesn't get to it. Like he doesn't. I don't know what it is. Like I don't know if it's just that maybe the moment's too big for him. I think we talked about this last
I
year.
mean, this happened. This has happened to him over the last couple years, and it's just like he doesn't show up, and it's really shocking because homie is good, man. He's and it pains me to say that as a Lakers fan, but if Kobe has his respect, like then I have to give him respect too, So it's just one of those things where it's just like, damn, he's really good. I just don't get, again, it's like I don't know if he has that sort of like fire that Ant has, that he's definitely of a LeBron era, right? It's like I'm gonna make the right plays, I'm gonna make the right shots, and who are you to say I'm wrong? We're the number one team in the league. It's like, okay, well, win a chip, win MVP. When you're not showing us that you have that. Look at Jokic. I can't even say his name right. Jokic,
the Joker.
The Joker. You know what I'm saying? It's like it's like you can still be a low motor and be an MVP if you're just like intelligent enough, and I don't know if he has that sort of like killer instinct because it's not showing. So who knows?
Yeah. So you're saying Timberwolves versus Boston in the finals?
It's gonna be Boston, right? I mean,
you
at the
think
end of the
Boston's
day,
gonna get there? What?
yeah.
18th?
So no, don't say that. That would be terrible. But
I
because
don't want to see it either.
76ers are hurt, right?
So the teams that are left in the East is well, right now Knicks and Sixers. Knicks are up 3-2, and then Bucks and Pacers, and the Pacers are up 3-2.
Which is crazy.
Yeah, I thought the Bucks would take care of the Pacers easily. Not that the Pacers are terrible. I think that they were really good. I like Halliburton and them. They're really good, but I just always felt, well, the Bucks have like Giannis, like, and they have Lillard, and
Giannis and Lillard are hurt, right?
Yeah, they were out. They're gonna be out in tomorrow's game, which they play tomorrow. Yeah. So no Giannis, no Lillard for tomorrow. If the Pacers win, they advance.
I mean, and now it feels like they're tapping out, really.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, they're tapping out.
That's what I feel like too.
That's like, okay.
Yeah.
So
I'd want to see Timberwolves and Knicks. Yeah. I don't know why. I know the Knicks thing has been really funny. To me, it's been funny to see. Like the annoyance that they've brought to Philadelphia has been so funny that I kind of want to see more of that.
Yeah.
Like I know it's gonna be like I'm gonna feel really annoyed after a while, like after so much of it. But I just think right now it's like funny and I want more of it. So I just want to see more sidewalk. What is it? Side talk at NYC videos coming out.
Yes, that would be hilarious. I mean, I'm down for the Knicks to have some shine. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Anyone but the Celtics, to be honest with you. So
yeah,
if the Knicks get some shine, I know Stephen A is probably going to be going crazy if that happens.
Yeah.
All the New York Knicks fans are going to be going crazy. I have
New York Knicks fans.
Yeah,
guys from New York that live in LA and other places. But Brunson has been really great, dude. I feel like Brunson, I wish he could have, like, I don't know how the Lakers didn't grab him when he was a free agent out of Dallas. Like so many moves that they could have gotten. I don't know what happened. I don't know what's going on with the scouting. I don't know what's going on with what they're looking at, like the landscape of what's happening out there, who's available. But like,
it's so Westbrook weird. messed us up.
Yeah.
Westbrook literally, it set us back like 3 or 4 years in terms of growth, and it set us back to where we could be. It took a ton of cap space that we could have signed other players, probably like Brunson, but we ended up giving Russell like $50 million for the year, and then we had to get off of him, we had to give up some draft picks.
Yeah.
And so I don't know, man. Like it's that's where the front office making certain decisions is just like, are we going to do this again? Because if we do this again, where we do a whole, we're going to do three-headed beast here, next year.
Yeah.
Like it has to be the right third head. It can't be just some random guy.
Yeah.
Which to me kind of feels like Trey Young is that sort of random guy. Like, does he take us? Does that one piece take us to the chip? And if we do go out and get him, what do we give up?
Yeah.
Because if we give up our rotation, our limited rotation already
Yeah.
to get him, like, and then one of the guys gets hurt, and we're screwed.
Yeah. One glaring thing was the fact that I felt there was no backup for AD.
Yeah.
Like if
Yeah.
he's out the game, we have nobody that can fill that spot while he's resting. And yeah, I just thought it was interesting that that's how we constructed this roster. We got Dinwiddie as kind of like just like a last minute, like, hey, he's available, and he was serviceable for some games. I think he kind of like helped at least get the Lakers into this play-in thing. I think maybe without him, I don't think we would have made the play-in. I think we probably would have just been out completely.
Yeah.
So I mean, he was serviceable. It just wasn't enough overall. Like I just thought it was weird that like as soon as AD was out, like whoever was a fill-in was like the backup dude was just not. It was like a huge drop off, and I was like, dude, this is not good.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Not against Jokic.
I don't know if there was very many bigs out on the market this past year. I think was the problem. I think the number one signee during the offseason was Naz Reid, and he just won Sixth Man of the Year for Minnesota. And he was gonna hit free agency.
Yeah.
And then Minnesota said, nope. We're just gonna give you a qualifying offer that was a little bit more than what a mid-level exception would be. And so that he wouldn't hit the market,
Yeah.
which is what the mid-level is what Lakers gave Vincent, which is about $11 million a year. And I think they gave Naz Reid 14 or 15 just so that he wouldn't hit the market and try to get, because maybe the Lakers would have been like, F it, we'll give you 20, you know? So yeah, I mean, I don't know if there was very many moves to make. And I know the Lakers, there was one of their D League guys or G League guys, Castleton, was supposed to be one that they were looking at to come up, and I don't know if he kind of made the improvements that they were hoping he'd be making.
Yeah.
And then for some reason we ended up with freaking Christian Wood and homeboy with the crazy hair. What's his name? That looks kind of like Sideshow
Oh,
Bob.
yeah. I forgot his name. I saw that he was on it. That's where I felt like, okay, like he's fouling, and he has a very sloppy way of playing. It doesn't, you could tell he doesn't fit. Like he's still learning, and it was just kind of like, you're here because you're tall, man. Like,
right.
And I feel bad for you, but I forgot his name. But yeah, I remember him.
Exactly. But it's just, he just comes in and he fouls. That's the whole point. He'll throw in like a crazy dunk every once in a while. You're like, oh shit, that's dope. But he basically just comes in and it's just a foul machine. It's like, okay, so he's not usable.
Yeah.
It's like, at least have smart fouls, but this fool is just like, doing some random shit. So
Jackson Hayes.
Jackson Hayes. Yeah. Sorry, buddy, if you ever hear this, right? We didn't, I know you. You came from the Pelicans, but like just rough,
Yeah. But yeah.
They had to play him for like 5-6 minutes just so AD could get a little bit of a rest,
Yeah. No, exactly. That's what it looked like to me. I was kind of like, okay, like I need AD to come back, like somehow, like just rest up fast somehow, like. But I know that when the shoulder thing happened, it was just not good. He wasn't shooting. He was kind of more of a decoy on the floor, and that was kind of tough. It was tough to watch that.
I mean, luckily it came back within like but it still took like probably half of the third quarter, which was like, again, that game was lost because we just didn't have that buffer that we needed.
Yeah.
But then again, I could say that, and then we had a 20-point buffer in the second game. We still lost that one. So
yeah.
I don't know, man. Like, I want to have some hope for next season. So it's really going to depend. This offseason is going to be very, very interesting to see what they do.
Yeah.
It's going to be very telling what directions they're going to go, especially because if they didn't feel like it was go time this year, it has to be go time this upcoming year because LeBron is not going to be here forever.
No.
I honestly feel like he has a 2 years max. I think he's trying to get to that year 23 because he's number 23. I think he's just trying to get to that year 23, right? This is year 21.
Yeah.
He got 2 years left. I think there's something to be said about that being just sort of like a memorial, year that he did it at that year. And, and, so we'll see, but.
Final question.
Yes.
What were your thoughts on The Athletic reporting immediately after the Lakers were eliminated that the Lakers are entertaining the idea of drafting Bronny James? which I thought was surprising that the Athletic even said this because they're a New York Times company now, and I would think the New York Times we have a very high,
I think, yeah,
you know,
exactly. I mean, I think what that means is I think that was mostly a play by the Lakers, to be honest with you. I think that was
yeah,
an inside job to let everyone know, don't even try it. We're going to keep LeBron. We're going to do everything possible to keep LeBron. So don't even waste your time,
yeah,
you know? So whether we do it or not, I honestly think Bronny needs to go back to college.
yeah,
And I think that he can come out the next year
mm-hmm,
and kind of, you know, figure it out if he wants to, be in the NBA.
yeah,
And I mean, the thing with Bronny is that he's lucky to even be around. So,
yeah,
it's really scary what he went through. So
yeah,
there's just like no shade and
no,
nothing on him, you know. But I don't know if he's NBA ready. I know his pops thinks he is. I mean, I think halfway through the season he was yelling in the locker room that
yeah,
Bronny could smoke half the team, half
yeah,
his teammates.
yeah. I remember that. I
So
remember that. Yeah,
I was just like, oh man. So you know what? We know what pops thinks, but you know, I mean, I think homie's stat line was like 4 points and like a few assists and a
yeah,
few rebounds. Like, it's just like he's just not like what player with those stats hits the NBA draft? Like, that doesn't make any sense, you know?
yeah,
So he needs more. He needs another year. He needs another year. Get the wind under his belt again. Kind of, maybe he'll stay at SC, maybe he won't. But I don't know. I think that was just a power move by the Lakers, telling the rest of the league, don't even try it. Don't even try to sign him. Don't even try to move up in the draft to get him. We're gonna do everything possible to get Bronny if that's what LeBron wants. If that's what
yeah,
Bronny decides,
yeah,
we'll throw a second rounder at him. F it.
yeah. No,
So
that's true. It's
yeah,
funny because they did announce he's entering the transfer portal, but they did say like what colleges he's looking at,
right.
right? And I was kind of like, that's interesting, you know.
Yeah.
But it seems like doing that plus declaring for the draft was probably just to make sure if he doesn't get drafted, he could still kind of go to a different college because technically
Yeah.
he's
I
still in the
mean, he could
portal.
technically still go back to USC. They
Yeah,
got a new coach.
yeah,
So it's just,
yeah. I feel like obviously because of who he is as LeBron's kid, like I think there was something to be said about the fact that USC didn't even make it to the March Madness tournament. Like
yeah.
it's almost like there was an opportunity to market him in that regard, and it just felt like it didn't happen because they didn't get invited. So I wonder if that was also something that was considered when he declared to not declared for the NBA, but when they announced he was gonna look into transferring to a school, which I'm like, oh man, in my mind I thought, oh, he's gonna want to go to a school that
Maybe
goes
maybe he wants to
to
be away from LA and away from his dad, to be honest with you. Like, I mean, I don't know. I know that's a
yeah,
really tight-knit family and stuff,
yeah,
but maybe he actually just wants to go to college and try to make his decision on his own. And if he does, I support that because at the end of the
mhm,
day, your dream shouldn't be your dad's dream. So, Bronny, you go do
yeah,
you and go figure it out. And,
yeah,
maybe you'll be a Laker, maybe not, but, either way, good
yeah,
luck.
yeah. I just brought it up because I thought it was interesting that the Athletic put that out there right afterwards, and I'm just like,
At least they didn't
why are we
fire. At least they didn't fire Darvin Ham on the spot, and like they did Frank Vogel.
yeah,
Last time that he was on the podium, and they're like, "Oh yeah, by the way, you just got let go."
yeah,
Savage,
yeah.
savage.
But anyways, thank you guys for hanging out with us. If you got to this part of the podcast, we'll tune in whenever we can and give you any sort of other LA sports updates. Until then, we will talk to you guys later.
Later, guys.